Hey up everyone. Right, just to say there's a little bit of a quandary here now. As in, I'm not quite sure what take to have on this virus. The reason being that if the virus is as serious as they're telling us, then the government acted too slow, have placed us all at risk, and basically have made things a lot worse by their inaction. And then they're now talking about fairly draconian measures. Um, I have had one post sent to me telling me that the lockdown is going to mean we're all having to stay in our houses and not leave the house. And if we're found out of the house without good reason, we'll face criminal charges. I have looked into that and I've got to say at the moment that is fake news. Okay. However, what I was saying yesterday about the troops being put on the streets, I think that's becoming more and more evident that's the case. Now, there's some reports of 20,000, there's some reports of doubling that up to 40,000 troops. What they're talking about doing is calling up reservists. We'll all know about that when that happens because we all know people that are in the TA or on the reserve list through leaving the military. Um, I'm going to assume that what they'll do is they'll move regiments and units from the hometowns to other towns so that they're not actually facing family and people that they know. At the moment, their role, we're being told, is to back up the police and to back up the other emergency services. However, in some respects, that doesn't quite add up. It does if you're talking about security, putting more troops on the streets and with weapons. That's going to make sure that people don't loot and things like that. And I get that to a degree, but I think it's very draconian. I think it's very scary, and it's something that we as a nation should not be welcoming with open arms. Um, but the other side to that is the government are playing it all down, saying that they're going to be driving tankers and they're going to be driving ambulance. Well, you don't need 40,000 troops to do that. So nothing quite adds up. And the thing is, if they did put the country on such a lockdown, which, as I say, at the moment that appears to be fake news, um, that would be extremely scary because that would mean that only the people they want to be on the streets will be on the streets, and it means that they've got a free range to do anything that they want to do. And normally, if we're talking about a normal government, that really shouldn't be an issue. But sadly, we're not. We're talking about Boris and his bastards. And personally, I can't put anything past them. Now, the other part of the quandary I've got is if the disease is more virulent than the stating. Now, bear in mind, I looked at thing out of all papers, the Daily Express online, and what it was saying was that COVID-19 is actually second to last on the serious illness um, list for being transmittable. Okay, so things like measles were at the very top, mumps were above it, even flu was above it. So if we look at the percentages that they're telling us, then the risk to people is actually a lot lower than flu. All right. Now we know that it decimated areas of China, but if they're telling us that it is what it is here, or what they're telling us it is here, then we shouldn't be really that worried about it. So putting military on the streets and closing the schools, which absolutely was the best thing to do, which should have been done 3 weeks earlier, does seem quite heavy handed. Okay, so if that's the case, then are we facing something that actually is more dangerous than we believe? And if that's the case, then they haven't acted properly, they haven't acted in time, and this reaction now would be under reacting, really. So it's where we believe we're at. It's what we believe that they're doing and what that we believe they're capable of doing. And it is a big question about the government and about how we perceive them and how much we trust them. And to be honest, my trust levels of them are very, very, very low. Suddenly, we've got money to bail out the airlines and that, but we haven't got the money to give the emergency services protective suits. We've got the money to throw at businesses, but not protect low income earners and people on benefits. How does that make any sense at all? Giving Richard Branson a fortune after giving him a fortune beforehand, and yet they can't support the truly vulnerable in this country. So none of it is a good reflection on the government, and there is fear mongering going on. That's why people are panic buying. And to be honest, that's a result of the media and the government and everything else. And what's happening is people are panicking. They're saying, are we going to be stuck in our houses? We don't know, do we? Because there's no clear news coming out. We don't know because they're not being honest with people. They're not being open. What we've got is a web of lies and deceit that every day becomes a darker web of lies and deceit. We're seeing profiteering by small businesses that are suddenly trying to appear, and I've seen it, trying to sell flipping toilet rolls for 20 quid. Get a grip. All you're going to do is stop yourselves having any business at the end of this virus. You might make a few quid now if people are stupid enough to buy it from you. They shouldn't be buying it from you because if you want toilet rolls, just go to the Co-op or some of the other local stores in the area. I've got 2 stores around here that have got toilet rolls. They're not putting the prices up. They're part of the community. They're loved by the community and they'll remain. But you profiteering prats, you won't remain. People selling stuff on Facebook, you're not going to get anywhere. A few quid here and there, what's it going to do? It's just going to make people realise what arseholes you are. So anyway, I haven't got all the answers. I've got quite a few questions. I've got quite a few things that make me wonder where we're going to be and what we're going to be doing. Beware of fake news. Just because something looks like it's come from the Department of Health, go on the Department of Health website and check it out first before you react to it, because it's so easy to say, oh, well, we're going to be stuck in, we're going to be under martial law. We don't know, do we? At the moment, they're not saying martial law, but to be truthful, if they're putting 40,000 troops on the streets, probably what it is. If they're carrying weapons with them, that's pretty much what it is. If they're going on the streets unarmed, supporting in a supportive role, it's different. So many of my friends are ex-service people and they're the most moral people I know. But you ask any soldier, if they're given an order, what do? They tend to obey it. So if those orders are coming from people with no morals and no morality, it's going to take strong personalities to say, no, we're not doing that. That's wrong. But we've all got to look deep in our hearts now and say, what is the best thing for ourselves? But what more than that, what's the best thing for our society? And that isn't being selfish. That isn't being cruel or callous or corrupt. It's about looking after each other. It's about putting all our hatred aside. It's about looking after fellow human beings, making sure that we're all looked after and kept safe. Anyway, a bit of an open-ended rant today because I haven't got the answers. All I can do is say you've got to make your own judgments. You've got to keep your eyes open and decide what's best for you. Today I'm feeling quite fit and healthy, to be honest, so I'm going to get my bike out. I'm going to go into the hills where there's no other people. I'm taking a flask of coffee and some butties, and I'm going to go and sit on the side of a hill. And that's my self-isolating. Think about what you want to do. Anyway, sorry if I've been boring. You take care. Bye.